Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Long Beach Community College District Board of Trustees to order. I am presiding this evening because our esteemed President Delgado is in Denver this afternoon. However, you will hear the talking head. He's on the telephone with us, so he will be partaking of the activities this afternoon. We just completed our executive session, and there's no items to report. So can we have a Pledge of Allegiance? And I'd like one of our retirees to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Who do I see out there?
Bill.
Bill. Let's go for it.
Going to take a picture of that.
Take a picture at the same time?
Place your hand over your heart. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Phil. And we'll talk some more later. Okay, we are now at the roll call. Madam Secretary, can you please do the roll call?
President Otto?
President, sort of.
He's always got to make us laugh. Vice President Uranga?
Present.
Member Bowen? Member Clark?
Here.
And Member Kellogg?
Here.
Student Trustee Troya is absent.
Okay, thank you. President Superintendent Eloy Oakley, do we have some welcome and introductions that you would like to announce at this point? I know we have a number of esteemed guests here this afternoon that you would like to introduce.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Member Uranga. We do have a number of individuals that we would like to recognize this evening, individuals that have given many, many years of dedication to Long Beach City College who are now retiring. And we certainly wish them all the best, but want to have an opportunity to thank them individually. So we have a number of folks here, so what I'd like to do is call you up, spend a little bit of time telling everybody how long you've served the college, certainly thanking you, and then if any of the retirees would like to say a few words, please feel free to do so. So, first on the list, this young lady has served Long Beach City College for over 8 years. Nancy Capone, would you come on up? Where is Nancy? There she is. Pleasure of knowing Nancy since certainly since I've been here at Long Beach City College, and she's done a fantastic job as a senior buyer. We thank you for your service, Nancy. So we have a certificate that we would love to present you. Would you like to take Trustee Otto's place, Mr. Uranga, and with the picture?
I'd be happy to.
You know, I have a picture of you giving my daughter her diploma from here. It's at home on with all the pictures.
All right, go right over here, Nancy.
You can grab.
So she's saying she doesn't want a picture of the little?
Yes. I've just.
Thank you, Nancy. Try to be more efficient and just stay here. Okay, the next individual who is retiring really needs no introduction. I think her middle name is Long Beach City College, certainly is the students of Long Beach City College. and that is Miss Alta Costa. Alta, would you come on up? Alta served Long Beach City College for 28 years. First as a senior administrative assistant, secretary, intermediate clerk, as well as she was a student assistant, payroll supervisor at Pearson Business Forms, and an information operator at Pacific Telephone. That goes back a little while. Alta, congratulations and thank you so much for your service. And I know that our Vice President of Human Resources would also like to say a few words. So, Rose?
Yes, Alta, I'd like to take this moment to congratulate you and honor you. I've known Alta since the early 90s, so we have worked together many, many years. Alta has been president of CSEA and president of AFT more recently, and I can tell you that she has worked diligently on behalf of her constituents, engaged in many negotiations and ratifications, all to better serve the classified unit. And so, Alta, I thank you for all of your service and being a wonderful colleague and partner in those activities that we've been involved in together. And so, for all your hard work, thank you so much. You've been a pleasure to work with, and you're truly, truly going to be missed. Congratulations.
I know Dr. Clark would also like to say a few words.
We've had our moments over the years, but you are going to be missed because you've been a great asset to it. And you worked for what you thought you wanted, and we worked together, and I think overall we've gotten what the university wanted, but maybe not exactly. But I do appreciate all your efforts, and I hope you have a good retirement.
And I know Member Uranga would also like to.
Alta, you exemplify what many who work for and serve Long Beach City College, and that's with a person with respect, with honor, with dignity. And you have your 28 years of service to Long Beach City College cannot easily go away, and you will be remembered for quite some time. I know I will, and I certainly will miss your choreographing of the cards when you would come to us and you have an issue to present to us. And believe me, we pay attention. We pay attention. And your poems, or I would call them your prose, I guess, that you would present to us were always memorable. And we will miss that. We will miss you. You've been quite an asset to Long Beach City College, and definitely, and without question, an asset to the members that you represent. Congratulations on your retirement.
If I could say something briefly too. Alta, I think what you've meant to this college was made most clear a couple of meetings ago when all the students in the honors program came down to talk about how if your position was reduced, the honors program wouldn't be the same, and they didn't even know whether it could go on. And you could tell from the comments that they made, the affection that they held you in, and all the wonderful things that you've done for students over the year at Long Beach City College. So I congratulate you for all the hard work and effective work that you've done, and wish you well in your retirement.
I want to thank everybody for all their kind remarks, and I just want to say thank you for 28 years of doing a job I love to do, and I'm looking forward to my retirement and getting in the RV and going.
Okay. Next on the list, this gentleman has served Long Beach City College for 17 years. He has been, since 2003, our locksmith. He's been a skilled maintenance worker, a grounds maintenance worker, custodian. He has helped keep Long Beach City College running. Mr. Philip Guston. Philip, thank you so much for your service over the years. Thank you for keeping this college put together and safe, and everything that you've done for faculty, staff, students of Long Beach City College, and for all your dedication. Thank you. Okay, next, certainly someone that I've known very well since she came on board here. I happened to hire her. So I'll take all the credit for all the great things that she's done here, and I'll blame Anne Marie for anything that she wasn't great at. But Betty, why don't you come on up? Betty Heiserman. Betty's been with us for 7 years, and she had a heck of an act to follow. If you all remember who came before Betty, a Miss Nancy Albrecht, who ran this college for many, many years, and certainly ran my life for the first few years that I was here. But if there was anybody that could help me get over Nancy, Betty did that very quickly. So thank you, Betty, for all your years of service. Thank you for all you've done for Long Beach City College. Thank you for taking care of Anne Marie when I left that office, and for always having a smile on your face.
Thank you, Eloy, for hiring me, but I just want to thank Anne Marie. I have admired your working ability, but I feel very confident that Janet is going to do an outstanding job, so I can easily retire and have fun and do whatever I want to do in this next chapter of my life. So thanks to you all. You know how much I think of all of you, but 40 years I graduated from this college, so now it's my time to just have fun. So, but thanks for everything.
Okay, next is this young man served Long Beach City College for over 15 years and has dutifully served both campuses as a reprographics technician. He has helped keep our faculty, our staff, and our particular part-time faculty all happy, going, and ensuring that we all have the copies we need and all the everything flowing so that we can continue to serve our students. So, Mr. Robert Sparks, would you come on up? Robert, thank you so much. You have always been just the consummate professional in everything that you've done here at Long Beach City College. I don't think in all my years I've heard you even begin to complain about anything, although I'm sure you've had your moments in your head, but you've been a tremendous asset to Long Beach City College, and I know everyone will miss you, and I'm sure everyone at PCC will miss walking by your little office there and seeing you hard at work smiling. So thank you so much for all of your service.
Sure. It's been a terrific experience, and I've had excellent colleagues, and I've had a great time because we all work for a good cause, and that's the most fulfilling thing. Thank you.
Okay, next on the list, this individual has certainly been near and dear to me for some time. When I first got hired, he was one of the first people that scowled at me. He is always fighting for the classified staff, always never hesitate to stop and let me know what can be done better. But he is an individual that has always dedicated himself to Long Beach City College. Done a tremendous job. He's been our HVAC mechanic for quite some time, since 1989, and done a terrific job. It's going to be hard to imagine. He's another one of these individuals who, you know, as I think about the classified staff, I certainly think of Alta, and I certainly think of Dana Thompson. Dana, come on up. So Dana, thank you so much for all of your service. And by the way, I had an opportunity to hand Dana his AA degree this last graduation ceremony. It was great to see you up there, Dana. So congratulations. I hope you have a fantastic retirement. Most important picture. Like take yours?
Absolutely. 5 minutes ago.
Okay,
Yeah, I hired in 1989. I wasn't really aware of the value of this job when I first got it. I knew it was a good job, and I knew it would probably extend my HVAC career. But shortly after starting work, I was in the old K building, art building, and I was up in the attic. And as you have your Hall of Fame of your pictures of your presidents past, and other areas have their past colleagues they like to remember, there was my gallery up in the attic in the K building. And I seen Hal's name up there, and there was Jim's name, and they had taken chalk and they wrote their dates up there, and they went back quite a ways. And I started thinking about those people that have come before me, that worked in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and came through all those years and spent 40, 50 years working here. And I started to go down to the ceremonies like this where people were retiring, and I'd see people that had 35 years, and I had 6 months, and I started going down in the basement and looking at the old yearbooks and just sort of thinking about how important this job was. All of that to say that I've really enjoyed this job as a public employee, and I've thought very highly of it, and I've been very protective of it. And we haven't always agreed, but I've always enjoyed being a public employee, and thank everybody for helping me do my job. And I've kind of been the guy who's been in the background. A lot of people don't even know who I am, and I've been here 23 years. So thank you for this and for your appreciation.
And last, only because his last name starts with a Z, is someone that we've all seen around, someone who has served Long Beach City College for 15 years. He is usually, other than Camille, following me around with a camera, following somebody around with a camera, responsible for much of the graphic artwork that you see coming out of Long Beach City College, been recognized with awards from national organizations. Has just been a tremendous asset for Long Beach City College. He's been a graphic design specialist since 2001 and a publications assistant since 1997. So for all the years that you've dedicated to Long Beach City College, thank you, Mr. Bill Zeilinger, and why don't you come on up, Bill? Bill, thank you so much. Like many others who've come before you, you've been a consummate professional in everything that you've done. You will be sorely missed, and I hope that you come by from time to time to keep an eye on us. It's been wonderful getting to know you over the years and getting to know your lovely wife over the years and seeing you at all the events. So thank you for all your service, and I hope that you have a wonderful retirement.
"15 years as an employee, 3 years prior to that as an LTE. But I didn't mean to work here in the first place. I came to help out, and the reason I've stayed is I tell many people on campus and off campus, the reason I stay is you don't get rich at Long Beach City College, but I stayed because the people are nice. And I've enjoyed my time here, and I will be around. You'll see me swimming over here. And my wife's an alumnus, and Long Beach City College is kind of in our blood. I have a lifetime supply of T-shirts at home, and hats and mugs and everything else that we've been creating. So I'd like to thank you all for the time I've had here. I've had a great time, and you'll see me. Thank you very much.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill, can you go back over to the podium real quick? I want to do something because you've been doing it for all these years. I want to take a picture of you. I'll send you the picture. Thanks, Bill.
All right, thank you, Bill. Now, did we miss anybody who came tonight and is retiring that we didn't catch before the meeting? I want to make sure. You got everybody? Okay. All right, let's give one more round of applause to all of our retirees.
Eloy for Roberto.
You're welcome to go, Dana.
Excuse me, Doug?
Roberto, can I say something very quickly?
Sure.
Sure. You know, I want to offer my personal congratulations and, to a certain extent, envy of all the retirees, and a profound thank you for all the work you've done over the years. I added this up earlier today, and represented by the 12 people that are retiring tonight are 267 years of service to Long Beach City College, and it's hard to imagine the institution going on in the same way without your service, and it just reminds us of how lucky we are to have people that care so much that they'll hang around, especially in this day and age, and we'll miss you all.
I want to echo that as well. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to also extend our congratulations to all the retirees for your service, for your dedication, and for your love of Long Beach City College. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. All right, we are now at the approval of the minutes of May 22nd, 2012. Can I have a motion, please? Before we continue with, is there a second? Okay. Because of Mr. Otto's absence here physically, but he is on the phone, we're going to be having roll call votes every time that there is an action item. So I will ask for the Madam Secretary to please take a roll call.
President Otto?
Aye.
Vice President Uranga?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
And Member Kellogg?
Aye.
Okay, next we have the ordering of the agenda, and I've been asked, and we observed that we need to move agenda item 13, resolution debt service estimate for Los Angeles, institutional memberships, redevelopment agency update, and LBCC auxiliary bookstore. Do I have consensus? I'm moving the agenda item? No, I just need consensus that that it's okay. Okay. We'll do it. We're going to move it up to right before. Well, let's do it now if we can do it at this point, with the agreement of our board members. We can go ahead and talk about item 12.12 as an action item, resolution 2012-13 debt service estimate for Los Angeles County. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Okay, we're now at discussion. Who is this? So this
I would turn it over to Vice President Gable to give the board a summary.
Thank you, President Oakley. Yes, this board item, we are required to give the County of Los Angeles an estimate if we're planning on issuing any general obligation bonds within the upcoming fiscal year. As you know, back in January of 2010, we issued $150 million of bond anticipation notes, which come due in January of 2013. So we will be issuing general obligation bonds this coming fiscal year, probably in November or December, to, one, pay off the bands, the $150 million that we owe on the bands, and then to get additional cash so that we can continue with the construction program as it has been planned. So the resolution is giving the county an estimate of what we think the debt service payments may be so that they can assess it onto the property tax bills that will come out in the fall. And in the last page of the resolution and the backup, it has the estimate of what the tax rates will be. And again, this is just an estimate with the assumptions that we're using as of today and where we think the assessed valuations are going. Are there any questions?
Any questions, comments from members of the board? Okay, hearing none, let's take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary?
President Otto?
Aye.
Vice President Uronga?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
Member Kellogg?
Okay, back on track with the agenda. Item 1.1, presentation of certificate, Citizens Oversight Committee.
Yes, Member Uranga, we have, and is Barbara, yeah, I see Barbara here. Okay, great. We have a member of our Citizens Oversight Committee, which has served Long Beach City College and overseen the general obligation bonds that our taxpayers passed and allowed us to issue. She has served us since 2008. Vice President Gable, you want to say any words about Ms. Long before we present her with a certificate?
Yes, Barbara Long has, as you mentioned, been on the Citizens Oversight Committee for 4 years now. That's the maximum, so she's maxed out. She has to leave. We're sorry to see her go. I think she has brought great experience and insight into our bond program with what she does with the community at the aquarium and has knowledge of how capital programs work. So it's been a great honor to work with Barbara. We appreciate all of her time and effort that she's put in, and we will miss her, but we may call her back in about a year or two.
And I'd like to thank Doug Otto for nominating me for this. It's been a real pleasure, and it's been a delight to work with Anne Marie and the whole team. Your construction program is very, very impressive, all-encompassing, and it has been so wonderful to learn about the exciting programs. And in fact, at the aquarium, we're going to try and copy your solar on your parking structure. So thank you again, and I do hope that you do call me back. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, for your service. Okay, item 1.2, committee reports. Okay, hearing none, we shall continue on to student trustee. Student trustee is absent today.
Member Otto, you have a couple other items that we moved up.
Yes, I noticed that. Okay, let's go back to item 13. We did 12.12. Now we need to do 12.13, which is the institutional memberships for 2012-13. Can I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please do the roll call.
President Otto?
Aye.
Vice President Uronga?
Aye.
Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
And Member Kellogg?
Can we have people in the audience? Okay, item 12.14, redevelopment agency update. This is Vice President Gable.
Can
Yeah, they wanted to go first.
okay? Can we? There's been a request to take item 12.15 first.
Okay,
We were originally supposed to move that up.
let's go ahead and do item 12.15,
Okay.
LBCC Auxiliary Bookstore Services. This involves a PowerPoint presentation, correct?
No,
No? What's the PP then, Madam Secretary?
that's for the redevelopment agency.
Okay.
The other item.
Well, you know,
So for this report, I will turn it over to Vice President Gable.
Yes, thank you. Just to kind of start this one off is the LBCC Auxiliary Board about a year ago, requested that we look at and prepare a request for proposals for contracting out our bookstore services, and then to compare that with how we run it ourselves. So after a thorough review of the proposals that we went out with and comparing that to our internal system, the auxiliary board recommended that we contract out our bookstore services, with the caveat that all of the full-time bookstore employees be offered a job with the contracting entity. So we have done that. We selected Barnes & Noble. I'm going to turn it over now. We have Mike Collins, who's our Director of Business Support Services, who oversees the auxiliary enterprises. And then we also have both Russell Markman and Denise Nakakihara, is that correct? With Barnes & Noble, that'll give us a brief presentation on what Barnes & Noble will bring to the campus. So Mike?
Great. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees and our campus community. As Anne-Marie had said, we have, the Auxiliary Board has elected to move forward with outsourcing our bookstore. For decades, the Auxiliary has, and the ASB Enterprises have run the bookstore operations independently. The textbook market currently is evolving and is becoming more dynamic every single day. We went through the RFP process. We were able to identify the strengths and weaknesses of some of the RFPs that we saw. Barnes & Noble came to the top, and a few things that they do extremely well and have demonstrated success in are basically ensuring textbook affordability and accessibility for instructional content to our students, to our faculty and staff, as well as integrating technology into the front door experience for our students and into the way they read and absorb content, instructional content moving forward. They have demonstrated superior outreach to the campus community, meaning that the way that they engage students and faculty on the campuses that they operate and oversee the textbook operations of has been highly efficient and effective. And it also provides the auxiliary a revenue stream, a dedicated revenue stream without the financial potential loss of financial resources. So we see it as a risk mitigation tool to move forward in the textbook and the educational content delivery system. We're very excited by it. I speak for the entire board, how excited we are to work with Barnes & Noble, to move forward with Barnes & Noble to serve our students and our faculty to the best possible way we can. At this time, I'd like to introduce Russell Markman from Barnes & Noble, as well as Denise Nakakihara. Denise is our regional manager that will oversee our bookstore operations, and Russell is the Vice President of Campus Relations for Barnes & Noble.
Dr. Oakley, members of the board, thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about some of the things that we're planning on bringing to LBCC. Before I did that, it was pretty amazing to watch the presentation to the retirees. I think a campus and the relationships are part of what we want to bring. And it's a true partnership, and it's not just about selling product, but it's about total and complete integration. And watching that ceremony, that's really, really special. So I thank you for being part of it. I think we're living in a very exciting and dynamic time in higher education retail. I've been doing this for about 35 years. I started as a student bookseller. I started when I was 6, so in case you're doing the math, the 35 years. But we've probably seen more change in this industry the last 4 years than in the previous, at least 15. And it's very exciting. I want to briefly talk about some of the commitments that we have to LBCC. Number one is with regards to affordability and accessibility in course materials. That's our number one commitment. That is the reason that we are partnering with the campus. And here's some of the things that we're going to bring. So number one, we're going to greatly expand the used textbook market in the existing stores, both LAC and PCC campuses. We're going to roll out a very, very dynamic rental program. So whereas between 55 and 65% of every book that is in both campus stores will be available as a rental option. And rental books are about, 49% of the new book price. We're also going to bring a very aggressive digital program to the campuses, where we would hope to see about 23% of the entire title base eligible digitally. And the cool and exciting thing is that what is going on inside the campus store is also going to be online. So we bring a LBCC branded website to both campuses because we consider that the other front door, the experience that a student has inside the four walls of the store. It needs to be the same as online. Speaking of the other four walls, the bookstore's website and the communication that we have to faculty, students, and staff is very, very integral to the success of the store and to the success of this partnership. Both campus stores will have their own Facebook page. They'll have their own Twitter account because that's really how students communicate with one another. It's not taking ads out in the school paper. It's about this very dynamic approach to communication and marketing. The same has to be said for the faculty. Communication is our communication and education of both the services that are existing in the store as well as technology enhancements on everything from how a faculty member can select a textbook to how that information is communicated to the store and, in essence, how the student is purchasing product online and also both in the store. Mike talked about people and Marie talked about people. Not only are we committed to the existing full-time employees in the store and that we made everyone a job offer at their existing rate of pay, but we're planning on doing it with all the part-time and student employees as well. Everyone that is currently working in the stores will be given an opportunity to stay at their existing pay. And then from a technology standpoint, I just want to touch briefly on, I guess this goes to our convenience proposition. So what we're going to do is auto-populate every single textbook, both required and recommended, to the student's schedule of class. So when they go online through your PeopleSoft system and they are ordering their textbooks, it is one-click shopping. So they will be able to see everything that they need in one shopping cart as opposed to multiple clicks. I could probably talk for the next 2 hours, and I'm not planning on doing that. Hopefully this will not be the last presentation meeting that we have to the board. But what I'd really like to do is open it up to any types of questions or comments you might have at this time.
Okay, we're open for a discussion here. Dr. Clark?
Yeah, one of the big complaints students have, as you know, is the cost of books. So I think anything you can do to help with that, and you have some ideas that you're presenting to us, but that's a big issue with kids because those books, some of them, particularly in the sciences field, are just terribly expensive.
I graduated in 1982 from Cal State Northridge. The average price of a textbook was about $42. The average price of a textbook right now, hardcover textbook, is about $110. So everything that we can do to lower the cost of books, whether it's additional used books or rental and digital, absolutely, that's our commitment to this institution.
Thank you.
Well, go ahead, Trustee Bourne.
My question is why something like this is not an action item. I think the decision to contract any service out is a major decision to be made, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be looked into. I'm not saying I would oppose it under any circumstances, but I'm wary of such decisions in any body contracting out their services, and I would have wanted to look at some of this information before I approved it, and I think it should be a decision that the board should have voted on before we did something like this.
Okay. For a point of information, this is an informative item.
Yes, that was my question.
For discussion. Will it be coming back to us as an action item later on?
No, the Board of Trustees has empowered the enterprise, LBCC enterprise, or auxiliary is what we call it, to make those decisions. That's been something that has been in place for many, many years. We have a board we have an auxiliary board that operates the food services and the bookstore.
Okay.
And that has been in place certainly well before our time here.
Yeah, and I have to echo Trustee Bowen's concerns, because I too am concerned when we have to contract out services, because normally, in other situations, it has a negative impact on employees. However, your commitment to hire and retain the employees who are currently there, including the students, I think is a noble expression of support for the college and for those employees, and I'm glad to hear that they will be able to continue their employment, if not directly with LBCC, certainly part of the bookstore that is part of the LBCC campus. So I commend you for that. Not many contractors are willing to do that, and if there's the negative side is it being contracted out.
Well, let me clarify.
But the positive side of
we
it
are not
is
okay. The employees were not Long Beach City College employees.
They were auxiliary.
They were auxiliary employees.
Okay.
So they were not part of the Long Beach City College's contracted employees.
Okay, then
They were not part of a bargaining unit.
Excuse me?
They were not part of a bargaining
Okay,
unit.
that's what I was going to say. Did they accumulate seniority with us, or nothing like that? Okay, all right. So then basically, it's a enterprise transaction between one enterprise to another. Is that it?
Vice President Gable, you have anything to add?
Yeah, the LBCC Auxiliary is a complete and separate legal entity from the district, Long Beach Community College District. So it's a separate 501c3 that has its own board and had its own employee manual. The employees were not part of a union. They did have an employee manual that we're following. They did gain seniority within the auxiliary, but had nothing to do with the district. It's similar to how our foundation is a separate 501c3 organization, and this board does not have authority over the foundation. The same is true of the LBCC auxiliary entity.
Well, my comments stand, and I commend you for retaining our employees.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
There, two things. One is that I remember the going over the setting up of this auxiliary organization, or the looking at how these things work, and it was a conscious decision by the board to empower to delegate the authority, if you will, to make these decisions. It seems to me that the decision was made responsibly, and especially after the discussion, and so I don't have any heartburn at all about the way that this was done. I do have one bit of heartburn, though, and that is that I was over there at the bookstore not too long ago, and I was looking for a copy of our Hall of Fame member Tim Grobati's new book, Long Beach Chronicles, and I couldn't find it. And I hope we'll get it in
tomorrow.
Trustee Kellogg.
Yes.
I had one question on this contract, even though I realize it's the auxiliary, but how long does the contract run for? I'm sorry, Doug, were you done with questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you had a little static. The contract begins this month, July?
Correct, July 1. It's a 3-year.
Like, how long does it run for?
3-year contract.
3 years. Is there options?
Correct. There's an additional 2-year option to extend the contract for a 5-year period. Once again, this RFP process went through the same rigorous RFP process that all of our services agreements go through.
And I'm just curious, because who are the other in the world that you're in, the Barnes Nobles and others, and who are the other competitors that were actually bid on this or tried to also do this type of work? I'm just more curious.
Yeah, traditionally there's 2 players in this space, and one is Follett and one is Barnes & Noble. We did extend the RFP notifications to 2 different entities, one being the 49er bookstore and one also being another entity in Illinois. and they refused. They didn't submit a proposal. So the two proposals were from Barnes & Noble and Follett.
The fact that the auxiliary is there looking at this, I think it's, I'm very pleased with the way they're going. As Trustee Clark mentioned, we all hear about students concerned about the cost of textbooks, and historically always has been, with some justification. And what you're bringing forward is much more advanced as far as I'm very excited about the fact of offering things on digitally, rentals, things of that nature, which the frustration I've always had is trying to move forward more aggressively, especially in the areas of textbooks and how we offer them to students and the way we offer it. And so I'm very pleased that we are moving forward in this way. I think at the end of it all, it's going to give the customer, the students, some more opportunities. Also, to many of the students, ways they were very comfortable with online, looking at things. And so I'm real pleased with it. When I saw it there, I know some people will have the questions about the contracting, knowing it was separated. But here's a great example of a board, the auxiliary board for the bookstore, looking at options and finding ways of providing services more efficiently and better to the customers, the students. So I'll be very curious when a report comes in a year or so about how effective these outreaching programs have been and how the customer, the students have responded to them. But I'm very optimistic as we sit here today that it's going to be doing what we all hope it's going to be doing, and that is providing a more efficient way to provide our textbooks, and as was mentioned at the very beginning by Trustee Clark, that maybe we can find a way to offer them at a more economically than it has been in the past. And so I'm excited, and I really believe, though, as we sit here today, that this is going to achieve a lot of things we hope for. And so I'm really pleased with this item moving forward, and congratulations, and especially the board, the auxiliary board, who looked at it and found ways to move forward. So my compliments to them as well.
And
thanks, Mike.
Just a side note, the board does encompass faculty representation, administration, as well as students. And students did sit on the RFP evaluation committee and did make the choice to move in this direction. So.
Great.
President Superintendent Oakley.
Yes, I have a couple questions. Recently, we've been working with Dean Flores from Million Minds Foundation and Senator Steinberg. Senator Steinberg has introduced a couple of bills in the California State Legislature to begin to create a library of digital textbooks that will hopefully begin to encourage faculty to go to open resource textbooks. And of course, Mr. Flores and the Million Minds Foundation have been working on this quite a bit. They've introduced other potential vendor partners to begin to produce or to distribute textbooks, digital textbooks that have already been published and accepted by faculty. So how is Barnes & Noble tracking what's going on in the state legislature and positioning itself to support or take advantage of any of this new legislation that will hopefully continue to progress? Because obviously the industry in general has been under a lot of scrutiny in the state legislature, and my hope is that as a new partner of Long Beach City College, we will be working together to improve access and not working against each other in the state capitol.
Real quick, before Russell responds to that, there's a contractual item in the contract between the Long Beach City College Auxiliary and Barnes & Noble that they will partner with Long Beach City College in any textbook affordability and accessibility projects or mandates that we see upon us from regulatory agencies or the state legislature. So from that standpoint, we have the commitment from Barnes & Noble to engage in a partnership to provide accessible and affordable textbooks to our students.
A couple things. One is academic freedom is really all about content in a variety of ways and formats. So whether it's OER, open educational resources, whether it's public domain, this is what we're planning on bringing based upon what the faculty are going to recommend. We are part of one of only 3 vendors that were selected for the Cal State University System's digital rent program through Jerry Hanley and the ATI initiatives. So we're very much active of what's going on in this space right now, but also in the future.
Any more comments from members of the board? Trustee Kellogg.
So just because at we're going to be having as a board, we have a retreat in July, and sort of coupling onto those comments is that the past year, and I know I've raised it, but I'm going to be talking about it as well at our retreat. And one of the goals I would still love to see for this college, this board really hold on to, is for us to be the pilot program to show at the community college level, because a lot of that is pushed down from the Cal State UC system. But for us to develop a pilot program here at Long Beach City College that other community colleges can look at as well, to be essentially textbooks to where they are offered online, or a lot of other opportunities, and where we really have a true pilot program that's one that others can try to copy. And so the reason I mentioned the retreat, I want to talk about that as hopefully one of our goals as a board, to give some incentives, assistance to help the cooperation with faculty, because that's what we need to do. And I look forward to it, because that is going to be the future, and it has to be. And so we look forward to it. So in our retreat in July, hopefully we'll be able to look at this item a little bit in more detail.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Thank you very much for taking your time to be here. It's very informative, and hopefully we'll work best for the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 12.14, redevelopment agency update.
I'd like to turn over to Vice President Gable.
Thank you, President Oakley. Now, we do have a PowerPoint for this, just a brief one. And really the goal tonight is just to let the board know what's going on with the redevelopment agencies within the state. You've probably read a lot about what's happening. The governor has basically eliminated redevelopment agencies, has created oversight boards, and now I would say the fight is on for the money, is kind of where it's going with that. So with Assembly Bill 1X26, which is known as the dissolution bill, this was signed by Governor Brown June 29th, 2011. It was part of his 11-12 budget plan to eliminate the redevelopment agencies, and with the anticipation that it would bring a lot more property taxes into the state coffers to help alleviate the state budget deficit. There was a lot of legal activity between the cities and the state, and on December 29th, 2011, the Supreme Court upheld the legality of dissolving the redevelopment agencies. So after that Supreme Court decision was made, all the redevelopment agencies within the state were dissolved as of February 1st, 2012. So what that did with the dissolution of the redevelopment agencies is they created what's called successor agencies, which is basically the redevelopment agency ran by the city for the most part. And then they created an oversight board that has 7 members on it. That is, I'll go into a little bit later on what the oversight board's responsibilities are. The county auditor controller now oversees the expenditures of the successor agencies. The Department of Finance also approves all of their obligation payments. And then the state controller's office has a role in it as well. Some of the roles are not quite clear or well defined at this point, but they are working through those. The oversight boards, as I mentioned, it's a 7-member board. They're all appointed positions. So there's 2 positions appointed by the County Board of Supervisors. There's a position appointed by the mayor, a position appointed by the largest special district within the redevelopment area. There's 1 former redevelopment agency employee. There is a representative from the county superintendent of schools, and then a representative from the community college chancellor's office. The responsibilities of the oversight board, as I said, they have a fiduciary responsibility to oversee the obligations and the taxing entities that are benefited from the successor agency. They have a responsibility to approve any repayment terms for outstanding loans that existed at the time of dissolution. They are also looking at the outstanding bonds and other debt to see if there's savings that can be generated. One of the most important and one of the first things that was done are ROPS, or establishment of a recognized obligation payment schedule. So this is basically the debts that the redevelopment agency had incurred and what can be paid out in the future. And so those ROPS schedules are done every 6 months for the next 6 months. And then the other responsibility is to oversee the disposition of all the RDA assets and the properties that existed within the redevelopment agency. With the revenue, as I said, the whole reason that the governor dissolved the redevelopment agencies was to increase the taxes that came to the state coffers. They established a revenue distribution priority for the property taxes that came in. The first priority are the pass-through payments to local agencies and school entities such as ourselves. That will now be paid directly to us by the county. And then the second obligation is to the ROPS, those recognized obligations and payments that I mentioned earlier. The third is for administrative costs that the successor agency may incur, and those administrative costs are limited by a percentage of the amount of ROPS that are approved. And then if there's any residual revenue left over after you pay those three things, then that is where the additional money would go back to the local agencies and school entities in the form of additional property taxes. So as I mentioned, there was one representative from the California Chancellor's Office, and the Chancellor's Office had put it out to the local districts for oversight. So you see here that President Oakley is the representative for the Long Beach RDA. I am the representative for both Lakewood and Signal Hill, and then Mark Taylor is the representative for Avalon. So what does all this mean? For the 11-12 fiscal year, Governor Brown projected that they would receive $116 million of additional property taxes. So that was that fourth priority on the previous slide. To date, they have not received any additional revenues. So it's a big question mark whether or not the state is going to cut us any further in the form of a deficit factor. What we're hearing is that they are going to try to hold us harmless in the 11-12 year, but they say that at the same time that they withheld $116 million from our May apportionments that came to community colleges. So we really don't know if we're going to get that money back or not. For Long Beach, if none of the $116 million comes in, and if the state continues to hold our money, that's a $2.2 million loss for our 11-12 fiscal year that we have not planned on. Moving into the 12-13 year, the governor has planned on $341 million coming in additional property taxes for community colleges. Again, if that money does not come in, the worst case scenario, it could be an additional 7.3% deficit factor or cut for us, or about $6.4 million. Now I know just Monday, the Assembly at the state level put into the budget trailer bill that they would backfill $200 million of that $341 million. So we haven't seen the Senate's action on the budget trailer bill yet, but there's an indication that at least $200 million of that $340 million could be covered. So if that is the case, then we're looking at about $141 million potential loss at the state level. For Long Beach, that equates to about a 3.1% cut, or $2.7 million. And again, this has not been incorporated into the tentative budget that you'll see next week. I kind of mentioned the budget risks already. It's in if the revenue comes in, when it's going to come in, and when we could be cut or not be cut. Everything is really up in the air right now. It makes budgeting a lot of fun. And then the other thing is with the different interpretations of what an appropriate expenditure is that the redevelopment agencies are putting on their recognized obligation payment schedules, or the ROPS. There's a lot of interpretations. I think it's in the city's best interest to try to get as much on those ROPS as possible. And then it's in the Department of Finance's best interest to try to not approve as many of those ROPS as possible. So we're seeing a lot of back and forth between the successor agencies and the state level at this point in time. And, you know, there's several cities that I think are threatening to sue the state again over what's a recognized obligation. So there's just a lot of uncertainty on what's really happening, and I think time will tell what it's going to be, but unfortunately our hands are tied and it's kind of up in the air on whether or not we're going to receive any money, or if we're going to be cut, or if we're going to be partially cut, or what's going to happen. So that's really all I wanted to cover on the redevelopment agencies, but I'll open it up to questions right now.
Trustees, Dr. Clark.
Yeah, in that the state did this, yet all the money flows to local governments. Is this likely to be an offset from what the state would give us otherwise?
Well, that's the state's idea, is that the money would come to the state, which would lessen the amount that they have to give to community colleges. And so if the money doesn't come in at the state level, that's where I'm saying we have a potential for cuts or additional deficit factors, because as you recall, a deficit factor applies to community colleges when either the property taxes and or the enrollment fees don't come in at the level that the state budgets for. And so since this is a property tax increment, if it doesn't come in at the level that the state anticipates, then all likelihood we could have a deficit factor applied to our apportionment, but we just don't know what that's going to be at this point in time.
Will we come out ahead on this situation?
No.
Why did you say that?
Because I don't have any good budget news anymore.
Okay. We were hoping.
What is the time commitment on these redevelopment boards?
The oversight boards are for a 4-year term, and they're hoping after 4 years all the assets will be disposed of, and then the oversight will turn over to the counties. So unfortunately, Eloy, Mark, and I have 4 years of additional board meetings once a month, or actually I get 2 a month, but anyway.
Will the November initiative have any impact on these boards? Should it pass?
No.
No?
No. No, this is strictly property taxes, and the November initiative is sales taxes and personal income tax.
Okay. Right. Any other comments, questions from members of the board? Trustee Kellogg.
Yes.
Trustee Kellogg, and then Trustee...
Doug, Doug, go ahead. Doug?
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Trustee Otto,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick comment. Well, when this came about, we were told that what would happen was neutral to us, because these groups would because the monies were just pass-through monies, and we would get them. I don't think any of us took that seriously, given the representations that have come out of Sacramento over the last 2 years. But I think it's more ominous now. And the reason for that is that it turns out that these decisions are becoming very political decisions, although they're not supposed to be. I noted recently that Los Angeles got all of their projects approved by their oversight board as being the kinds of projects that ought to be able to go forward. But there's a lot of politics involved in this now, and that doesn't bode well for us. I don't know what's going to happen with the monies that that are represented to us that are going to be cut, although in addition to the monies that have already been cut by the state's underestimation of the fees and property taxes that were going to be allocated to community colleges. That was $149 million statewide. And what we're looking at locally in terms of getting ourselves in a good position just to feel the effects of what's going on, or whatever is going to happen in November, I'm very concerned, and I don't think we can rely on these monies anymore, and I don't know that there's much that we can do about it because the play is a state play and not a local play, but I share Anne Marie's view that I don't think there's any good news in this at this moment.
Trustee Kellogg.
Yeah, I'm just more curious because this, the whole issue with the dissolving of redevelopment and the impact on the city of Long Beach, which I can follow that one a lot probably easier because I know they have a lot of redevelopment projects. For example, we have an oversight board of 7 members. You list the 7 people, and so I'm clear, and I think what Doug Otto just said is that a lot of what's taking place, it's at a different level. It's at the state, but I just would like to have just a more comfort on what's all taking place. For example, the oversight board, 7 members, and then we talk about the LBCC representative, where we mentioned 3 people: Anne Marie, Eloy, and Mark Taylor. So now, are those 2 one and the same, or am I looking at 2 different oversight boards?
No, they're one and the same. So for the Long Beach Redevelopment Agency, they have a 7-member board. One of those members is the Community College Chancellor's Office appointee. So that Community College Chancellor's Office appointee is Eloy in the case of Long Beach, myself in the case of Signal Hill and Lakewood, and Mark Taylor in the case of Avalon. So basically, Long Beach Community College District has a 1 in 7 voice with the oversight boards in trying to, and our interest is to try to get as much money into priority 4, the residual revenue, so that the money is going to the state coffers, so that the community colleges are trying to meet what the governor has budgeted for community colleges to receive from the residual revenue.
So, but let's start at the basic. On this 7-member, so I've now named 3 human beings: Eloy Oakley, Anne Marie, and Mark Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the other 4 people? I'm assuming mayor?
Well, it varies by city. So, you know, I can tell you from the 2 that I sit on, the county superintendent of schools appointee for Signal Hill is the CBO from the Los Angeles County Office of Education, and for Lakewood, it's the CBO of Long Beach Unified. I don't know who the K-12 representative is on either Long Beach or Avalon. Maybe Eloy or Mark knows who they are.
The county superintendent school representative for Long Beach is the same individual as it is for Signal Hill, the chief business officer, Jim Novak, from Long Beach Unified.
Well, that's the same one as Lakewood.
Yeah, Lakewood, yes, right.
So if I went through and said the county board of supervisors, quote, county, that human being is named who?
I can give you the list of all of the members of all 4 oversight committees. We can give that list to the board.
Okay.
Jane Netherton chairs the Long Beach Oversight Board. I am the vice chair, and all that is just sort of coming together. We've only had 2 meetings, but we can give the board a list of all the members.
And again, these people were picked by who?
By each of the 7 listed here. So there were members, 2 members on each board were picked by the County Board of Supervisors. 1 member was picked by the mayor. 1 member was picked by the largest special district within that area. 1 member picked by the former redevelopment employees.
I mean, just knowing how these things tend to operate, I think it's just commendable they were able to pick 7 names, because usually that gets bogged down, and if this is heavily politicized, and this is just in the logistics of getting something to replace redevelopment. I don't even want to start to go through the process of, and I was going to begin with, but for another discussion, another time, but what does this mean to Long Beach City College, and what's our exposure, as far as with this, in how it relates with the city as well. It sounds like, if I had to really paraphrase, it would be, you're all on your own, good luck, and we'll see you at the finish line, and we'll tell you where that finish line is someday. And, I mean...
That basically sums it up.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's another term that, it's a foul word, though, but what these things tend to see are what really are called. But I just want to make sure we're protected, and I don't know how that's a simple statement to say, but when I hear that the Senate trailer bill is moving forward in regards to this, and they earmarked $200 million revenue, state of California that has no additional revenue, and now they're earmarking $200 million in revenue. I mean, it's frightening. So, and I know the city of Long Beach is going through somewhat similar on this. That we just don't know what the exposure is and what the downside. So, I guess it's a wing and a prayer. But it just so if we start on the basics of who is where, and at least we know that some of our people are part of this. That's great, and what we can do as a board to protect our flanks and our interest. And I think that's all we have to look at. I know that's people can say that's very parochial, but that's the reality. And so, but it's very interesting to see how this is moving forward. It's not like the days on the Long Beach City Council where we had a redevelopment agency and we knew exactly who was controlling what. It's a whole new world. And I feel I just need to get up to speed, and we're slowly doing it.
Trustee Clark?
Yeah, the actual source of the money is if you have an area that's depressed. It has a tax base that it pays. The tax base is frozen at that amount. You put in a new development and the tax base is higher. And that's the differential we're talking about that went into the redevelopment agencies, which was substantial and has helped to have a lot of areas developed that wouldn't have been developed. And it was a city, local government project. It never was a state project. And that's the curiosity of the state coming in on projects that were basically local government oriented. It really seems strange, and I'm surprised the courts have been so supportive so far of the state government.
Well, I think when the Supreme Court upheld the dissolution of it, part of their opinion was that the state created redevelopment agencies, the state can dissolve redevelopment agencies.
Go ahead, Trustee Kellogg.
And there's nothing we are taking any action today for, but exactly what Trustee Clark and how it used to be. But now the concern is because there's all this property, and who's going to do what traditionally has been done with the property, have a developer come in, the value is increased because the property has been enhanced. And now there's probably a push where all the property is going to be liquidated. They're going to sell the property. So you have meaning the state of California, because they now really own the property, and they're going to start doing a liquidation of it all. So that's where the real concern is, and where our exposure is. And I think cities are just as concerned, especially cities like Long Beach, because they had such a large redevelopment area. But it's just, I'm glad we're trying to keep up to speed on it the best we can, because I still, again, don't know what our exposure, protecting ourselves from what it used to be. But yeah, it's just such a different world. So as we just please try to keep us involved and where we can be helpful. But it's just a very different game. And I'm not sure, I don't know what the rules are. And that's what's really frightening.
The courts are good.
If I can
make another
interject.
comment?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Trustee Otto.
Trustee Otto?
Yeah, I mean, I think our exposure is the monies we don't get. And the way that they rolled out this process, which strikes me as a somewhat inferior process, but a process based on essentially bad decisions by the governor's office to eliminate the source of economic development for local government, is what it is. Our job is to be vigilant and on two fronts. One is to make sure that the decisions that are made by these local boards don't in any way influence our ability to get the monies that we have been told that we are entitled to. And secondly, to not let the state government promise that those monies are going to continue to be brought to us when in fact it doesn't look like they will be, and it's a pawn in this funding game that's being played out in Sacramento over the last couple of years.
I want to close the discussion at this point. What I just like to know is, are there any benchmark dates that we should be aware of? Will there be some reporting back to the board in regards to any progress or what's taking place with these boards?
I think it would be reasonable to come back and report once a quarter to see if we're having any changes. There's going to be a lot of fluctuation. There's a number of these constituent groups these that may or may not take legal action. For example, LA Unified School District took some legal action. We're looking at the actions that they took in terms of some other issues that impact the property tax. So we're all kind of keeping an eye on every other group that has a stake in this redevelopment money. So I think on a quarterly basis we can come back and just give the board a quick update to see if there's any major developments.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very informative, and of course a very complicated issue, and certainly one that affects us all, not only in terms of community colleges, but also any public entity as well. Anybody who was affected by RDA is being affected by this. Okay, just want to confirm that we took care of 12.13, Madam Chair. Yes, we did. Okay, then we shall go back to our agenda, and we left at the student trustee, and he's not here, so we're now at public comments on agenda items. At their request, members of the public may comment on items listed in the agenda at the time of the item is discussed prior to the board action on the item. A 5-minute time limit will be allotted to each speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes to each subject, unless extended by the board president. I don't have any slips for that today, so we will continue with the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Can I have a motion to approve? A second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, discussion. Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Madam Chair. Are you Madam Secretary?
I've been promoted. President Otto?
Aye.
Vice President Uranga?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
Member Kellogg?
Okay, item 5.3, resolution, reduction of classified service. This is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Time for discussion. Trustee, Vice President Delgado.
Yes, Member Uranga. I'm presenting tonight a resolution to the board. What we have is an existing instructional assistant position in the Culinary Arts Department. And beginning with 2011, that position now requires that it have a food handler ServSafe certificate. So during this period where we're engaging in bumping, we're taking the opportunity to request that we be able to lay off that position so that we can bring it back with the appropriate requirements for that food handler ServSafe certification, which is now required by the state of California. So we are asking to lay off the existing position so that we can bring it back appropriately and then fill it moving forward.
Now, will the incumbent have an opportunity to apply?
They certainly will, and they actually have that certification, so there's a high probability that that person will be the successor in that position.
Okay. Any questions, discussion, members of the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Madam Secretary?
President Otto?
Aye.
Vice President Uranga?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
Member Kellogg?
Okay, item 8.1. This is an informative item, revised administrative regulations 4019. Whose item is this?
Yes. This regulation would allow us to give credit for military education.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, item point 2, revised administrative regulation 4022.
Member Uranga, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I thought that was action item, but I misread.
They're
the
all
agenda.
informative items
You're
up
right.
until 8.4.
You got it.
4022?
Yes.
Yes. And this is to limit the amount of course repetitions that students can take. Previously, the W, the withdrawal, was not counted as a course repetition, and now it will be. And this is, we're responding to the State Chancellor's Office recommendations, the state's recommendations on this.
Okay. It's basically to get everything aligned with them.
Right, and to encourage the students not to continue to repeat courses.
Good. Okay, 8.3, this is also an informative item, review of career technical programs.
And this is another state requirement that every year we do a review of half of our CTE programs.
8.4 is an action item. It's a revision to curriculum guide, associated arts, and kinesiology for transfer. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Any questions from the board? Any reports?
And this is in response to SB 1440. This is another transfer degree for physical, well, it's kinesiology now. It's the old physical education.
I'm just curious if I can ask a question. How many programs now do we have 1440 curriculum for?
Yes, I think there's about 8 transfer degrees.
I think with this one you hit 9.
9.
But close enough.
Now, is 9 this one, which we haven't voted on yet?
There's
Well,
a
as
motion.
soon-
There's a motion on the floor.
As soon as you vote, I think you will be at 9. And by the way, if I may, that is one of the highest number of transfer associate degrees completed. I think it's the second highest in the state. So congratulations to the academic center.
That was my next question, and I concur in your congratulations. It's terrific that we're moving forward on this.
Yes, we really feel it's going to be very helpful to the students. You know, it's so hard to get into the colleges now and state schools if these transfer degrees are really beneficial.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
Highest or second?
Any more discussion?
No.
Okay, roll call vote. Madam Secretary?
President Otto?
Aye.
Vice President Uranga?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
Member Kellogg?
Aye.
Okay, item 8.5 is also an action item. It's a new curriculum guide, Homeland Security Administration.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve and a second in discussion.
We recently hired a new faculty member on the Homeland Security, and this establishes a program.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the roll call vote. Madam Secretary?
President Otto? Aye. Vice President Uranga?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
Member Kellogg?
Aye.
Okay, we're down to item 8.6, approval of certificate of accomplishment. This is also an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
And this is a certificate for a technician to run, and I don't know if they're considered technicians or not, the CT scans.
Any comments, questions from the members of the board? Okay.
Tomography?
The CT scans.
Right.
E-scans.
I think that is tomography.
Yes.
Okay. Any more? Any other comments? Questions? None? Roll call vote. Madam Secretary?
President Otto?
Aye.
Vice President Uranga?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Clark?
Aye.
Member Kellogg?
Aye.
Okay, we move on to item 9.1, Superintendent President's Report. This is an informative item.
Yes, thank you, Member Uranga. I just have a few quick reports. First of all, yesterday I attended a screening of a new documentary that was just being released called First Graduate. We're working with the producers to try to get it to be shown in Long Beach. It was shown up in Sacramento yesterday, sponsored by the Campaign for College Opportunity and a number of other organizations. But I was happy to note that a student from Long Beach City College was featured in the movie. He is an individual who was attending here and was obviously the first in his family to attend college, so I was very proud to see Long Beach City College at least featured somewhat in the documentary, and as I said, we're working with the producers to try and have the documentary previewed here in Long Beach. It basically highlights the struggles that underrepresented students, poor and underrepresented students have in actually understanding how to get to college. And it talks about the lack of infrastructure, the lack of family knowledge about how to navigate attending college. So I think it would be great for this particular community to be able to see that documentary. Also, we recently, just last week, hosted the release of a report from California Competes, the California Competes Council, which was chaired by our own Mayor Bob Foster. They released a report that was developed with a number of mayors, business leaders, civic leaders throughout California that focused on California's higher education. I forwarded a copy to the board, and will certainly forward it to everyone on campus, but we were happy to be able to participate. It's just yet another report that basically tells us that we are falling behind in California. So that's another reminder that we need to continue to push the legislature, the governor, and our local communities to do more to support increasing the number of students that have a meaningful certificate or degree in order to compete in our economy. And then finally, we are expected to reach one milestone in the budget development process this Friday. We expect to have the legislature vote on a budget by Friday. Judging by the mood in Sacramento, we don't anticipate a very good budget. I think there was, last we checked, there was over 10 arrests in the Capitol today from various protests about what was happening there, but it's an unfortunate sign of the times. It's a difficult situation that the legislature is dealing with. But we do anticipate that there will be a budget that will be forwarded to the governor, so we can at least begin to understand how we can begin to plan our budget. And of course, this all anticipates that the November ballot measure will pass. So stay tuned.
Well, it's either pass a budget or don't get paid. So I think they're going to work
That's a
very
motivator.
hard. I think they're going to work very hard to get the budget passed.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, President Superintendent Eloy Oakley. Trustee Kellogg?
Yeah, I talked before the meeting. This is graduation week, not for my family directly, but so I'm going to be heading off to a graduation event here. So, but I wanted to bring up, and I talked previously on this, and I just wanted to ask, and for the board as well, we talked about, it was very interesting with the first graduate, you talk about people and opportunities and what they have. And I bring this up because many people throughout this country has read about an individual in the past few weeks, a student at Long Beach Poly by the name of Brian Banks, who was released from prison after serving for rape. He is now, in his mind, pursuing his dream. He's 26 years old. His goal was always to play in the NFL. And as most players at that time, I mean, including myself when you're 18 years old, but he's now in his mid-20s. And so what I would just like to do, and only if since this is Long Beach Poly, part of our community college district, that we can, in talking to Eloy about this as well, to an outreach to the young man, to his representative, whoever the people are, and giving him at least that this college where he was raised is more than willing to work with him. The dream is wonderful. I wish he can achieve those dreams. Everyone wants those. But the reality is the greatest thing you can have in this world is an education. and we are here. And so I would hope we would make some type of outreach to the individual that if he needs assistance, there's been talk at one time he even attended here before, but I would just like to make sure of all the things going on in his life that the community supports, gets behind him, and gives him as many options as possible. Roberto was mentioning how very articulate a young man as he's going through this life and the events that surrounded him, especially in the last few weeks. And I just thought it was important that we try in any way possible to outreach to Brian Banks to, if that opportunity doesn't work, that we can possibly work at the college to help him begin his academic career again. I don't know if he's got eligibility, but if he can play in the NFL, or he thinks he can play in the NFL, I hope he thinks he can play in the community college as well. And I don't know how much eligibility he has left, but it's a good story. One with a lot of optimism and how he addresses it. So I would just like to, however we do as a college, and it's not individual elected officials, but I think as a college to reach out to that individual and just say, if you want the opportunity to continue your education, Long Beach City College is here to help you, to guide you, and to help you move forward in your life. And if your other options don't work, I mean, as I mentioned, I was fascinated like so many other people in this whole story. But I'm always concerned when somebody just keeps reaching for that elusive goal of playing in the NFL. I asked this earlier, if anyone can name me the individual that went from high school to the NFL, not the NBA, not something like that, but to the NFL. If you can name an individual, let me know. I think I have one, but it was in the days of the American Football League. So it's a tough task. You wish them well, but I think it's a wonderful gesture on our part if we reach out to him. And I know Eli Oakley we've talked about that, and he's actually started that, but I think as a board and as a college, it'd be wonderful to be part of that, helping that individual move on with his life in a productive manner.
Thank you for bringing that up, Trustee Kellogg. It's always very important when we look at our athletes that we want to make sure that they are fully equipped, not only in regards to their athleticism, but also with their education, so that when after life after football or life after any athletic career, that they are able to succeed in their communities, whether it be as a business professional or teacher or any other profession that they choose. So I think that your concern for this young man is right on, and hopefully we can reach out and he will touch us as well to want to continue and pursue his academic career as well. Thank you for bringing that up. And I know you have a graduation to go to. Okay, congratulations to your graduate.
Not mine yet, but close enough. But I still have one more year with Rachel, thank God.
Okay. President Superintendent Eloy, we also had some passings of some very important members of the LBCC family. Can you?
Yes. We had a member of the LBCC family pass away recently, Dr. Bernie Gleason, who was a member of the LBCC family for many, many years. Not only did he work and teach here, but been part of our foundation and any of a number of organizations. He began with the Citizens Oversight Committee, helped with the first bond measure, did a number of things for this college, was a tremendous friend and colleague of Long Beach City College, and he will be dearly missed. So we're hopeful that the board can adjourn in his memory this evening.
Appreciate that very much. Thank you.
And could I just add that I mentioned this earlier, that Bernie was the individual that I was very proud. He swore me in as when I first came on to the board in 2002. And I asked him if he would do that, and I was very honored that he accepted that and was the individual that gave me the oath of office. A really wonderful person, and a very sad day in many ways, but he was just, he and his wife both, wonderful people, and he's going to be missed.
Thank you, Jeff. Item 12 is academic affairs. I have here no items, no report. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, item 12, student support services, no items, no report, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We worked on 1212 to 1215. We've already did some action items in that. The number 14 is Pacific Coast Campus. I have no items, no report.
Correct.
Economic and Resource Development, no items, no report.
That's correct.
Excuse me, Roberto.
Okay,
Did we do 1213?
Yes, we did. And
Okay.
I made sure of that before we went back to the regular agenda. Yes.
Okay.
Item 16, Academic Senate.
Yes, I do have a report. Thank you. Rather than have departments tell you about the great things they're doing in educating our students, I want to take my Senate report tonight and tell you about the work of the Senate for the past year. After discussing this with President Otto, I'm hoping that we can revisit some of these ideas and positions for a more in-depth discussion at a later meeting. Reviewing our minutes from the past year, I want to organize our work into two themes. The first is promoting dialogue and opening avenues for receiving and getting the faculty perspective on issues and projects. The second theme is maintaining and honoring faculty roles, rights and responsibilities in terms of their relationship to their teaching and student learning. In terms of the first theme, promoting dialogue and opening avenues, we initiated a Senate caucus structure. The purpose of the Academic Senate Caucus is to provide an opportunity for individuals to network and discuss issues of like interest as they relate to academic and professional matters. We've had 3 caucuses to date: the Latino Faculty Association, Part-Time Faculty Concerns, and African American Faculty Association. The caucus chairs are encouraged to attend Senate meetings, and their issues will be given special consideration on the agenda. We're all very excited about this new arm of the Senate, which will give more faculty a voice on Senate issues. We also formed a department head committee, and this is really beneficial for the Senate because we can hear and respond and better respond to the focus and concerns of the department heads in terms of curriculum and student issues. The second theme of maintaining and honoring faculty roles, we have a focus on academic freedom, prompted by the revision of the regulations by the Curriculum Committee. In an increasingly open and increasingly litigious world, we've been working to come to resolution on maintaining both our freedom and discourse that is unique and privileged in an academic institution, and the parameters constraining the rights to privacy. We wrote and passed a resolution for the spring State Academic Senate plenary session, asking for guidance and support on issues of electronic privacy. We really acknowledge that this is a complex issue, and we continue to study and educate ourselves about the unique roles and responsibilities faculty have at institutions of higher learning. The Senate has also expressed opposition to SB 1550. We fully acknowledge the fiscal crisis we're currently in. But for us, SB 1550 is not the way to solve this crisis. It leaves the system open to additional expenses and probable litigation, and at the same time, leaves students behind that need to be served. This CTE pilot program would cause a shift away from the broader student population we serve and redirect the community colleges to the more economically privileged students. Both our state organizations, FAC and the State Academic Senate, oppose this measure. As a result of this, the Senate would like to work together to be more involved when our district drafts and supports legislation. We're looking forward to discussing this with you at a later meeting. Finally, but not last, we've been working on ways to fully support the Promise Pathways initiative and the work that is being done by all members of the college community. So that's just a few of the issues we have been working on this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee communications? Any trustee communications? Hearing none, we'll continue on. New business. I think that we have one new item of business for next time. That's quarterly reports on the redevelopment agency updates. We're going to be agendizing those for quarterly. If there's any new business that came out of tonight's meeting. Right, Madam Secretary? TBD, to be determined, okay. Future reports? Okay. Hearing none, we'll continue on with the agenda. This is a time for public comments on non-agenda items. Madam Secretary, do we have any cards? Okay, we have none. There is no need for a second session, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved, can I get a second? Can I adjourn? We have a second. Okay, we got a second. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. All right. Don't forget to sign these.